Missy, the Time Machine Teacher. On this channel, we talk all things history. If you're new here and that sounds like something that interests you, make sure and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. During this video, you're going to learn about the ACE method to better write short answers. Grab your notebooks, let's get started. The ACE method is a super easy way to remember how to write a short answer. Answer the prompt, cite evidence, and explain your evidence. You need to do all three of these in your short answer response in order to get the full amount of points. You recently completed a unit on World War II and genocides. Let's practice some SAQs in regards to those topics. The first one we're going to practice is list and explain a result of the Holocaust. So, a result is basically an effect. What are some things that you know are effects of the Holocaust? We first need to answer the prompt. What I would suggest when you're trying to write an SAQ response is think about all of the options. What are the things that you know are effects of the Holocaust? And then go from there. Pick the one that you can write the most about. One effect of the Holocaust was the death of 6 million Jews. That's a pretty big effect. You could talk about that one. You could also talk about the fact that the Jews now needed a homeland. And so as a result of the Holocaust, they wanted to return to Israel. And the people who believed that were Zionists. Zionists fought for this movement in order to return to Israel. So either one of those could answer this question. What I would suggest is that you pick the one that you can cite the most information and explain it in the best possible way. If I were going to choose that the result of the Holocaust was the death of 6 million Jews, I would first answer my question with a topic sentence. One result of the Holocaust was the death of 6 million Jewish people. Then you're going to cite evidence and explain your evidence. Start with Hitler and cite the reasoning behind his starting of the Holocaust. You could simply say Hitler was in charge of Germany at the time and he supported the creation of the Aryan race. The Jews were not a part of that because of their ethnicity and because he thought that they were the reason why Germany lost World War I. He used propaganda against the Jews in order to get the Germans on his side and make the Jews look scary or dishonest. He then ordered his Nazi followers to gather up the Jews and put them in concentration camps. Some Jews also were sent to the ghettos. While in concentration camps or ghettos, many Jewish people suffered and died. These 6 million deaths were the result of the Holocaust. So basically, you're starting with a topic sentence, you're throwing some evidence in there, and you're explaining it. You want to have about 5 sentences at least, maybe a couple more, depending on how much evidence you can write about the topic. Let's practice another one. Let's say that you have the prompt, list and explain one similarity between the Soviet Union genocide and the Cambodian genocide. One thing that we know about both genocides is they're a result of communist rule or a communist regime. So we could say that one similarity between the Soviet genocide and the Cambodian genocide is that they were led by communist leaders whose end result was collectivization of farming. That's a similarity. Both places wanted that. To answer the question, you'd write your topic sentence just like that. And then you would go into citing and explaining. Now, this is a comparison one, so you have to compare the two. We don't have just one topic like we had in the first example. Now we have two. Therefore, you would start with something like, Stalin was the leader of the Soviet Union at the time, and he wanted to collectivize farming. He felt that this would up production as well as get rid of his enemies who were the richer nobles and owned private farms. Then you could say that peasants didn't like this idea and many of them revolted against him. As a result, he took food from Ukraine and only gave them small rations for survival, which would eventually cause a man-made famine. Similarly, in Cambodia, Pol Pot wanted to turn Cambodia into a communist society. And then you would go about explaining that. Once he came into power, he started trying to collectivize farms and pushing all the peasants to the countryside. This caused lots of death and turmoil within Cambodia. And then you could end it with wrapping it up with rephrasing your answer. So something like, please note when you're comparing, you have to make sure and use comparison language. Like, similarly, this one, or therefore this one, all right? If you are using a difference, make sure and show that difference by, in contrast, it blank. Here's another example SAQ. Here's another example SAQ. List and explain one cause of the Armenian genocide. So start thinking in your head, what are some causes? Well, definitely one cause is that the Armenians were Christians while the rulers of the Ottoman Empire were Muslim. And then when the Young Turks come into play, they want the whole empire to be Turkified, which means that they want everyone under one religion and one language. And that religion happened to be Muslim. So that's going to be a problem for the Armenian Christians. You could say in your topic sentence, remember we're answering, one cause of the Armenian genocide was the fact that the rulers of the Ottoman Empire were Muslim and they didn't trust the Armenians because they were Christians. They also wanted them out of the country for this reason. Then you could go into citing and explaining your evidence. You could say before World War I, the Armenian Christians and the Muslim Ottomans had conflict. Once World War I starts, that gives the Ottomans the perfect excuse to kick them out of the country. They claim that the Armenian Christians are working with the Russians, but in reality, they just want a reason to deport the Armenian Christians, and they use World War I as their cover story. You could end by saying that many Armenians were killed as they were kicked out of the country, and that the Ottoman Empire claimed it was because of World War I. For your SAQ quiz, just remember ACE. Answer the question, cite some information, that's where you're giving vocab words or any details that you can about that question, and then explain what you're talking about. If you are comparing, make sure and use the similarity and difference language, and make sure and talk about both sides of it. Don't just talk about one similarity, you're comparing them, so you're talking about each similarity. And don't just talk about one difference. You're contrasting them, so you have to talk about both differences. And last but not least, before your quiz, review all of the genocides that you covered last week. Keep in mind that your quiz could be on any of these genocides, and you need to know cause and effect, similarities and differences, and details and vocab words that go with these genocides. So if you have to, watch my video again on history of the world genocides, and I wish you the best of luck on your SAQ quiz. And if you haven't done so already, make sure and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. Thank you for watching.